Name drop. Well, the first name we can drop is Sir Richard Marx, sir.
Well, you can drop that.
Well,
I can drop that.
I think that would be the first name is Richard Noel Marx.
Yeah.
September 16th, 1963.
Well, okay, we all have Wikipedia, bro.
Yeah, that's what
No,
he
but
does.
I drove all the way to downtown for this.
He's the Wikipedia guy.
So this is the beginning.
Oh, okay, we're
This
just
is
warming
the
up.
beginning. We're warming up because
Okay.
we want to get everyone to know who Richard Marx is and who you've met along the way. But
So I wanted to tell you, you played a couple years ago in south of Nashville.
Yeah. The last time I saw you.
It was. Did I see you?
Yeah.
I thought I didn't see you.
You had your little baby with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see you.
Yeah.
I did say hi.
Yeah.
Because I swear to God,
Were you
I left
stoned
going.
out of your mind?
Yeah, I must have been.
Yeah.
Because I left going, man. I don't think I even said hi to Richard.
No, we did. We hugged it out.
Okay.
Okay.
That was awesome. That was awesome. By the way,
It
that
was
really
for
cool.
the
farm
sanctuary.
Yeah, farm sanctuary.
Yeah.
Are you still working?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Your wife does a lot with that, right?
Oh, the Gentle Barn, actually. It was
so we're
Gentle
going to
Barn.
talk about Daisy Fuentes. That's the second name drop right there.
There you go.
I'll drop that name all day long.
Yeah.
Who
The
won't-
beautiful,
No.
lovely Daisy Fuentes.
Yes.
She was on MTV just before
So were
me.
you.
Yeah. MTV, we gotta drop that right there.
Good.
But you guys met in 2000? Was it when you wrote This I Promise You?
These two?
Yeah, you two.
No, we met before that.
Met before that?
Before this, I promise, right?
No.
Not at the show?
No, the show was after.
It was after? Okay, so it was.
So
I met you in the studio when we recorded this.
Yeah,
I
see,
promise
that's when the Sir
so
Richard
we met.
Marx.
Actually, we did meet before 2000 because I cut that song for RCA
Oh, yeah.
before you split.
did you know that you were cutting this for NSYNC, or did you just
Oh, yeah.
wrote I mean, this banger was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all sort of designed for them.
Wow.
And then we recorded it, and I think it was 3 tracks that you guys cut that you took from that old record deal.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yep.
Gonna Be Me, and This I Promise You.
Yep.
And then signed the new deal at Jive.
Yep.
And I just remember thinking, oh, fuck, thank God I got that.
Mine made it. Mine
made it.
'cause, I mean,
But
that
we
record did
recorded
okay.
It did okay.
Did all right.
You should come to my house sometime because in my bathroom where my wife made me, she said, we're going to wallpaper this powder room with your platinum album. And NSYNC is right there when you walk in.
Right by the shitter.
Wait,
Right
are you
by the
inviting
show.
me
Right
or
where we
Chris?
deserve.
Well,
Right,
let's see
right.
how it
I
goes.
guess, we'll figure
Let's see
this
how
out,
this,
right?
him for sure, but
Right,
let's see how it
right.
goes.
Really? You're inviting me back after, before.
You've
and
been to
after
my.
all the-
In fact, my
Yeah.
son yesterday, when I told him I was going to see you, he
Talking
said,
about-
"I have the most vivid
What's your
memory
son's
of." Well, I have 3: Brandon, Lucas, and Jesse.
Yeah.
But Lucas,
Halo? Was it Halo or Madden?
yeah, it was some N64 game,
Oh.
and he said all I remember is Chris playing video games with
Yeah.
us. Like you'd be like, "Can we try to write this
can we-
chorus?" And Chris like, "Well, I'll be there in a
I'll be
minute."
right back, guys. I gotta go play some Mario
It was
Kart. and
awesome.
Finish him off.
But wait, but I remember that we worked together about a year before the record even came out.
Yep. And I actually last week I was in Grand Rapids, and it was me and Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees and Eric Estrada from O-Town. We played a show with the Symphony.
Oh, nice.
And it was like a boy band night with the Symphony, and we did This I Promise You.
Nice.
And I will tell you, when I heard that Symphony play it, like I had in-ears, and I took my in-ears out for the Symphony, and I'm like, in rehearsals, I looked at them, I'm like, it took us so long to get this sound.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's just boom, just there live. It was.
I do it sometimes live, and I had a gorgeous orchestral arrangement done of it. So when I do a symphony show, I usually do that song in my show too.
You do a lot of cool live stuff now, don't you?
Yeah.
What would you say was the coolest live show you ever did? Was it the Berlin Wall when you did that, the Beatles
It was
cover?
up there.
I mean, that was like right when it happened.
Definitely up there. That was a really amazing night.
How did you get asked to do that? Was it?
I don't remember. It was for a TV show too.
Yeah.
We were on tour when the wall was coming down, and then
In Europe.
yeah, in Berlin. I had a gig, like a proper gig in Berlin, right around that time, and I think the timing just worked out. It's so long ago, I don't remember what the circumstances were, but it's on YouTube.
It was right around that same time when the wall came down. It was like
and at
the
that
whole
time I was
special.
doing. I put this song in my show at that time. So my favorite singer of all time is Sam Cooke, My second favorite singer who's still alive is this Australian superstar named John Farnham.
Your third is JC Chasez.
He's up there. He's way up there. We're going to get into him in a second.
Yeah. Is he the story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's relating to him.
Yeah, got it.
And John Farnham did this amazing arrangement of... Oh, so every time, even though we've already said it?
Oh, no, I didn't hear you say it the first time. Sorry. We just ding
I'm
it
just
anyways.
I'm just
it
trying
just goes
to get
along with what
the
we
rules
do. We don't
down.
want to
It's
hear
kinda
what you're
nice.
saying.
Yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
drown it out
cares.
with bells.
It starts fucking up your whole like rhythm.
Yeah.
You're like, what, dude? I forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm not telling a story.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
get it.
This guy, John Farnham, did a... don't even, dude. I'll fucking walk out.
Do it. Do it. I dare
Oh my
you.
god, we haven't had anyone walk out
I dare you,
yet.
because then
This
we'll
will be the
just
first
talk
one.
shit about you
Oh
the
my God,
entire
so much
time
shit
you leave.
talking.
I'm like, I told
But
you he
you'll
was a
name drop a
dick.
bunch of people.
Can I just say,
Yeah.
you've always had the best coif.
Thank you.
You got such beautiful mane.
Well, you got good hair.
No, but not like that. I mean, that's
I'm
like
just lucky.
that's-
I'm just
you,
so lucky.
You were the reason why I got a mullet when I think it was like 87, 88.
You're not the only one, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I tried it.
He
Was that a
made the
perm?
mullet
Or
cool.
was that your natural curls?
It was all natural, and people would say, "Oh, the hairspray." I was like, "Dude, I never used hairspray. It was just
You never
that's what
rock
it
one
was.
at that?
I never had to.
Wow.
I mean, it's not the same.
So
but
Dick
it's,
and Ruth, they
I'm
did a good
60
job.
years old. Dick and Ruth.
Yeah. So
did
they
a
have
good
the
job.
whole.
It's not bad. I mean, if I didn't use a little box of color, it would be white. But I ain't gonna look older.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Before the time. Why?
So anyway, I heard this amazing arrangement of "Help" by the Beatles that this guy John Farnham did,
Beatles.
and so I just stole it for that Berlin show.
Oh, it's great.
It was fun.
We did
All right,
We Can Work It Out. On
Yeah.
our very first, we had a little thing we put together, like a 5-song
Cover thing.
EPK that when we were trying to get signed, and we did this up-tempo We Can Work It Out. I mean, the Beatles are one of those. Have you ever... That's what I want to know, because I know you have. Especially when we came in with Name Drop, and that was the first thing, when you start dropping Beatles, that I know you have some great stories about that.
Well, I toured with Ringo Starr.
Oh, man.
I was in his band in 2005 or 6, and we became pals through that. And then he asked me back for those tours again a few times, but I just couldn't. Number one, I couldn't do it because I was touring on my own, and number two, to be honest, it was such a perfect summer tour that I thought, I don't want to do this again. It's not going to be as cool.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Never is.
And I
The
didn't want to
sequel's
outstay
never
my
as good
welcome.
as the original.
Exactly. But he said, "Would you like to write some songs with me for the next?" Of course. So we've written songs, and I recorded with him, and I have dinner with him here and there, and he's amazing.
Are those pinch yourself moments that it's like those bands? And because I got to do the same. I got to go to Chicago and had dinner with Richard Marx.
It's not exactly the same. I wondered where you were going with that.
Wait, was in Chicago. Your home? Was it your studio in Chicago?
He stayed at my old house.
Oh wow! You guys know each other that well?
Yeah. Well, he walked in and
No,
he's
it was
like,
a joke.
He asked me, he's like, "Hey, have you met him before? Like when we do that?" I was like,
It was a joke, obviously.
"What have you done your
You
research?"
guys had a video that went viral in like February of 2016. Is when you were performing. You brought him out.
Oh,
yeah.
Wasn't that in Florida?
In Orlando.
Yeah.
At the.
He got up with me and we did
Hard
this.
Rock.
I promise
This
you,
I
right?
I think it was pretty cool. You were like basically saying that he was drunk in the backstage, and if he's not too drunk, get him back.
I
up.
was. I was lying. I was always. Not anymore, but I was always.
See, we switched roles.
Yeah,
I
you're
didn't
the
really
drunk
drink, and then when I got divorced, I met Daisy, and she taught me how to drink, and now I'm really good at it.
She's
Yeah.
an MTV drinker, so that was a good thing. Yeah.
I think our wives would get along great because my wife's the same way. That's the one,
Oh yeah.
That's the one that she's like, let's throw him back,
Yeah.
and I'm like, come on, babe.
I didn't get invited back
You're
to
only
Easter
40.
because I would hide from them. I was spending.
You didn't get invited
No,
back.
I didn't get
for
invited
Easter.
back because I was hiding from like his wife. Because
Are you guys old friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, same from MTV days, and,
Right.
He's around
20 plus
Nashville.
years.
Are you in LA now?
No,
Nashville.
Nashville.
You're still in Nashville.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep,
you just
still
come in
in
to bank shows and then.
Yeah, well, we had a show last night. I'm on that Pop 2K tour.
Oh, nice.
And we had a show last night in Garden Grove, I think, the amphitheater. And before that, it was San Diego somewhere. And before that, it was Vegas. And before that, it was Phoenix. And
Why
so
don't
we're going.
I've been wanting to ask you this question, or
Let me guess. Why don't you guys go back out?
no? Yeah, that's an original question.
Yeah.
And this is probably not an original question either. But why do you think there has? And correct me if I'm wrong. Has there ever been anyone from a really successful boy band who formed another boy band that was successful?
Did they try? Did you guys try to do something like you did something with MTV or was it VH1?
Yeah, we did something on VH1
with Rich Cronin.
It was like me, Jeff Timmons, Rich Cronin, and Brian Abrams from Color Me Bad, and we did some stuff, but that was doomed for failure because, poor Brian was still having water bottles that weren't water. It was vodka, and it got awkward, and especially the timing was horrible because I think the timing was like 2004,
right?
Maybe right when everybody was like, "Okay, we're done with that. We're done with the boy band."
Don't you think that it's ripe for that?
Oh yeah. I think it's ripe for us to go back out.
In fact, you know what's really weird? Yesterday morning, I went to coffee with Daisy Fuentes and my son Lucas Marx and his girlfriend Anna, who's a great singer. And the four of us went to this little joint out near Calabasas, near where we live, called Cafecito.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting there
like that.
Cafecito.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there having our breakfast, and I look up, and A.J. McLean and his daughters came
Who
up.
we're having on next.
He's coming on next.
No shit.
Yeah,
he's coming on next.
I saw him, but I didn't go, hey, because I don't really. I've met him, but I don't really.
We don't
know
like
him.
them. That's why.
Right.
Yeah, we hate
he was
them.
with his daughters, and I guess they were making him take them to this nail place, which was closed because it was fucking Sunday.
Right.
He's got his own nail polish line.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
You would think he wouldn't have to come to the mall,
right?
Well,
or to the little strip mall. But
yeah.
Tell him I said, hey.
I
always loved his voice. Actually.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You've always loved JC's voice.
I always loved
JC's voice. That was my favorite line where you always remind me of that.
What's
I
that?
said that when he was when we were doing this. I promise you.
Yeah.
I stayed because I was just, I really, I know you well enough that I don't want to blow smoke up your ass because I know how big your head gets.
Yeah,
but
I've got a big head anyway.
You do. I mean, I noticed on this. We used the extra wide camera on there to make sure we could get it all in. But no,
You know what they say about guys with big heads, right? Big hats.
Big hats. I've never. You heard
I haven't.
that?
No.
And I've never heard that.
But that does make sense
Yeah.
now that I think about it. But no, we were sitting in there, and I just wanted to be around the process with him, and you are remarkably underappreciated. Like I think obviously your career is amazing, everything you've done is amazing, but I think people still don't understand how awesome you are with everything, with your see. That's it. I knew it. That's all I'm doing.
I don't take compliments well.
Yeah, I don't give them well.
But thank
either,
you.
So.
No, you give them really well. But I'm just.
But yeah, we were sitting in there,
nice
and JC went in to sing his verse, and I was sitting there, and I looked at you, and I said, JC's got my favorite voice.
Yeah.
And I love Justin's voice, of course. But
Justin said the same thing.
Yeah, and JC just has that thing, and it's really bummed me out. I wish you could have gotten a hold of him. Yeah. Because it's really bummed me out
that he didn't do a solo
his
thing.
record wasn't. It was a little off.
Yeah.
And didn't do what Justin's record did because he would be.
I agree.
Well, but he's kind of like you though. If he got big, then he'd
be
never
a dick.
talk to me.
Total dick. So here's my story about it. It relates to him, but I'll try to not make it too convoluted. But you're gonna love this story. So when I got divorced and moved from Chicago back to LA, I lived at the Sunset Marquis for a little while, and then I rented a house up above Sunset Boulevard in what they call the Bird Streets.
Yep. Okay.
And I reconnected with JC because when I moved back to LA, there were a handful of people that I rarely got to see who I really love, and I was like, "Hey, I'm back. I'm getting divorced, and I'm single," and a handful of these guys were like, "Oh yes!" Yeah. And JC was like, "Oh, dude," he goes, "Where are you living?" And I said, "Oh, I'm renting this house up the top of Doheny," and he goes, "Where?" And I tell him, he goes, "Dude, I'm 4 houses away."
Yeah.
Wow.
So he would walk. He would sometimes just show up and be like, "Hey, you want to have a drink?" Or, "Hey, should we go get a coffee?" So we hung out a lot in that year and a half. So one thing that I think you'd be the first to agree is that JC, aside from his incredible talent, he is one of those few guys, especially in the music business, who is as honorable as they get. Yeah. Like quality human being. Like all about his family. He's a guy you can count on. He's just a really good person. He's one of the best human beings I've ever met in the music business.
Were you responsible for his cat commercial?
His cat commercial.
What was it called?
The Meow Mix?
Meow Mix commercial.
Oh, no. I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad.
I've told people, like, if people go, yeah, what was it like working with NSYNC? And I say very complimentary things about all of you, but when I talk about JC, I go, and on top of his talent, he's just such a good guy.
Yeah.
He is.
So I'm out doing shows with my band, and at the time, two of the guys are still in my band. The drummer is this tiny, skinny little Indian guy named Saurabh Singh. He's phenomenal. Incredible. And I don't even remember why we stopped working together, but it was nothing. Maybe I went off.
We went different ways.
We went different ways.
Going to different
We're still
coffee
friendly.
shops.
But Saurabh is this really super sweet little guy who has this sort of stealth sarcasm. So you don't think
Love it.
he's so sweet and he's so loving and he's one of these guys like, oh my God, I love that jacket so much. But then once in a while he'll like say something and we're like, wow. So we're doing a gig on the East Coast somewhere. And one of my band guys said, hey, did you hear about the NSYNC Saturday Night Live thing? And I said, what? So apparently they're surprising or they're reuniting on Saturday Night Live tonight. This is like 2014.
Okay.
And I go, what?
Yeah.
So I text JC and I go, dude, I just heard you're going to do Saturday Night Live. I'm on the East Coast. We're doing a gig. Kill it. I want to hear all about it. 2 minutes later, hey, buddy, thanks so much. He goes, I'm actually not there. My brother's wife's going to go into labor any minute, and I'm not missing the birth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, wow. So I come
Breaking
into
up
the dressing
band
room.
for the birth.
But I come in my dressing room right before the show, and my band's sitting there, and Saurabh, the drummer's sitting there, right? And I go, you guys, check this out. You know I've told you about JC and what a fucking awesome guy he is. So they're having this big, huge thing tonight, and this is the text I got back from JC, and I read it, and I go, yeah, I'm not there. I said, that's who he is. He's going to be with his family. And my bass player and my guitar player go, wow, that's amazing. And Saurabh just sits there for a second, and he goes, fucking idiot.
So what happened? Were you
never,
there?
No.
You didn't even
It
go?
didn't happen?
Wow.
No.
I thought it happened.
No. There was no reunion. It was all hearsay. Yeah. So that's why.
That's why the
So
whole
now I
anticipation.
kind of ruined that story.
kind of ruined the story, but
Oh no, the four of us got together. It was amazing. We did a glorious 3-hour production. It was so awesome. Now, have you done Saturday Night Live?
No.
Did you? You have never done
Shocking.
that?
Did it.
Shocking.
God, they should have you.
The only two shows that were huge that I never did were Saturday Night Live and Letterman. Letterman hated me.
Why?
Really?
I don't know. Maybe I was too good looking.
You had 14 number one hits, whether you were
didn't
performing
care.
yourself or whatever. But the first one that I thought was kind of cool, was interesting, was with Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
How was that? I mean, what a
Awesome.
legend right there.
We were friends to the end.
Wow.
I can't bring myself to delete those
Oh, the texts.
texts.
Do you have voice messages from him at all that you just want to keep?
I do.
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, he ended up being an emailer and in all caps guy. He would yell. He would always yell at me
Yell
on
at
email.
him.
But that was just who he was.
You were just a kid when you were writing for him.
Yeah, when I wrote that song, Crazy, I ended up having 3 songs on that album when I was 19.
Wow.
And I sang on a bunch of his records, and he and I just stayed friends.
Yeah.
Like literally to the end. One of the last email I got from him, he mentioned, like, I really appreciate you being in touch with me. A lot of the old friends haven't. They don't reach out anymore. And I saw him a couple of years before he died when he was still he was having some health issues, but he was still fine in Georgia. I just loved the guy. And he was such a fucking legend, man.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lived large. He was really the first guy that I knew. And when I met Kenny and started working with Kenny, I met him through Lionel Richie
Oh, nice.
because Lionel was the
Lionel
guy
said-
who got me
You're started.
out of Chicago into LA.
How did that happen? Because
Is that now? That's Nicole Richie's dad.
Yes.
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 Believe it or not.
So were you working with your dad? Because your dad's a jingle writer. Or he
I had been doing jingles for a long time.
Like, is that how you got into writing?
I mean, I think I just got into writing because I just wanted to be a rock star.
Wow.
When I started writing songs when I was like 14 or 15 to try to get laid.
Yeah. I'm sure it worked.
But I was singing
Yeah, you're with Daisy
jingles.
Fuentes.
Fuentes is the
now. Of course
hottest,
it freaking-
hands down the hottest VJ that we've ever had in the history of ever.
I think so.
Yeah.
She's the only one I never met back in the day.
Oh yeah.
She was the only one who had never interviewed me
How did you guys meet?
through Martha Quinn.
So
Another
MTV
great-
I mean, really
United.
technically
Yeah.
through Martha Quinn on Twitter. Daisy and I met through Twitter.
Wow. That's cool.
It's cool.
I mean, that's cool. You
We
feel
were
like you're
both
like
following-
you're like a millennial now or something.
Totally.
You're like, I met my girl on Twitter.
We were both following Martha, and I had lost track of Daisy. She had lost track of me, and we never met, but we certainly, there's actually video of her on YouTube introducing my videos,
Oh, that's cool.
And Martha and I were having some funny banter on Twitter back when Twitter was fun.
Yeah, cool.
And Daisy saw it, and she weighed in. She was like, "Oh my God, you guys are giving me the sweetest '90s flashback right now," or whatever. And I see it.
And slipped
and I
into
go,
her DMs.
I fucking did.
Yeah, what'd you do? Okay.
Well, no, I saw it,
Okay.
and I was like, "Oh my God, Daisy Fuentes!" So of course I immediately Googled Daisy Fuentes now. And I'm like hoping for the best. And I'm like, holy shit, how could she be hotter than she was before? But she was. And then I
Did you send her pics?
realized that. What's that?
Did you send her pics?
No. There was none of. Actually, I didn't. I didn't really sneak into her. I did slide into her DMs, but not.
Just tell her to Google you.
Yeah. And we, like, for 2 years, we maybe 2 or 3 times, like, hey, I hope you have a great holiday. And I remember saying, if I'm ever playing near where you are, I'm not sure where you live, but I'd love to have you come to a show. She goes, oh, that sounds great. It was nothing.
Not thinking that she would actually show up and you would actually fall in love with this woman.
No, and I was sort of like, that was when I was starting to exit my marriage. Mm-hmm. But I swear to God, I wasn't flirty with Daisy at all.
Yeah.
I just wasn't that kind of guy anyway.
You were just getting out of the pool.
I was just getting out of the pool.
Yeah.
And then, so like a year and a half, 2 years later, I'm separated, but I've always been really private. I don't talk about my personal life, And it was a hard time. It was a really hard time. But
Did you write during that time?
I wrote a whole album.
Was it weird though that time too, because you guys got married in '93 and music had changed quite a bit. We were like in the midst of the grunge era.
We didn't get married in '93.
What year was that?
My first wife?
Your first wife was it '93?
89.
89, and then you got divorced. What?
2014.
What the hell am I thinking?
I don't know. Maybe you're thinking of AJ. Well, to go kind of back, what you're saying is, I hate going through hardships, and I hate when people go through hardships because you care about people. But I love when musicians go through hardships because you get the best music.
Yep.
I mean, some of the best things that ever come out are when we're in pain and when we hurt.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you're being a martyr for your profession,
Right?
Because you get the best songs, and because people listen to them and they go, man, that's how I feel, because that's what
100%.
we do with music. So when you're down there, you can get it. When everything's going great, you're on tour,
It's hard to
you're
write.
making money, you can't write a sad song.
No.
How many thank yous do you get from people that have gone through breakups, or even like if you got wedding songs, you got some of the most beautiful music that's ever been made. Like Right Here Waiting for You got me through some tough times.
My favorite is when I get thanked by guys for helping them get laid.
Oh yeah.
And I always go,
You have make
gotcha.
love songs.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
my favorite
Baby
thing
making
is
songs.
baby making songs.
Yes, for sure. But I've written a couple of these sort of anthems like Now and Forever and This I Promise You.
We
and
ding those
Yeah,
songs.
yeah.
Name drop
Yeah.
those songs.
And not too long ago, I was on an elevator. I was out doing a gig somewhere. I think it was in Boston. And I had just enough time from sound check to run back to the hotel, go up, shower, get ready, come back to the gig and do the gig. And I'm going up the elevator, and this couple gets on, riding up. They were going up to the lounge or something. And they recognized me, and they were like, oh, my God. And the wife said, this is so crazy that we're meeting you like this because we got married to your song. And I went, was it Should Have Known Better? And the guy thought it was hilarious, and she did not think it was funny.
Yeah, I'll use that with Bye Bye Bye.
Yeah.
It's same. We get the same kind of thing for it.
You're talking about like Lionel Richie. He heard your tapes. How did that come about? Which tapes was it? Was it just like demos?
I had written 4 songs, my first 4 songs.
Yeah.
I think I was 16 or 17. And I had demos of them because my dad did have a jingle business, so I could record them kind of pro. But my dad didn't. He was in the jingle business. He didn't know anybody in the record business. It was a totally different thing.
Was it ever one of those things that your dad was like, hey, this is my business. I don't want to push you into what I'm doing.
No, there was
but
never
I
any-
can't stop you because
he
you're
had
good.
you do stuff for him.
He had me do stuff, and it was from the time I was 5. It was like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so my parents were just super supportive and super like, go for it. They were the ones. So cut to, I record these 4 songs, my first 4 songs, and I was in high school, and my best friend was a year older than me. So he graduated. I was going into my senior year. He graduated and was at school in Atlanta, and he would play my demo like people would play the cassettes of REO Speedwagon or whoever, right? And his roommate said, "Who is this you keep playing?" He goes, "Oh, it's my friend from high school. He's this guy in Chicago." He goes, "This is really good." He goes, "You know, I know a guy. I grew up with a guy who's now working with the Commodores. I wonder if like we should get him the tape." And so my friend from high school calls me and says, "So I gave your tape to my roommate, and he's going to send it to his friend who works with the Commodores." And I was like,
Yeah, well,
right, sure.
Yeah, cool.
And fucking 3 or 4 weeks later, my parents' phone rings, and they asked to speak to me, and I go, "Hello," and he goes, "Richard?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "This is Lionel Richie." And I thought somebody was fucking with me.
Right.
So I'm like, and then he keeps talking, and because I was such a fan of Lionel, so I knew
one of his
the
songs,
voice.
Hello?
I knew what
You
his
knew
speaking
the
voice
voice.
sounded
Yeah,
like.
he said, "Hello,
Hello.
is Richard on the phone?"
And I was like, and he talked to me for like a half an hour and just was like, "Man, I don't usually listen to tapes, but I listened to yours and I think it's really good and you should." And he basically just said, "There's really nothing I can do for you, but what's your plan?" And I said, "Well, I'm in my senior year of high school." He goes, "You can't stay in Chicago, man. Like, you got to come to LA." And I went to my parents, and they said, "You can always go back to school. Go."
Yeah.
That's
And
incredible.
as soon as I graduated, like 2 weeks after I graduated from high school, I went out and I got this shitty little apartment in Encino. And Lionel gave me his number, and he said, "Look me up." And he was making his first solo album. And I was with my dad. My dad brought me out here. And he invited us to the studio. Wow. And I swear to God, this is how it happened. He just invited us down to be gracious. Lionel's like one of the most kind, soulful dudes. He will tell you, I had no intention of using Richard for anything. I didn't know what I could do for him, but he was just being nice.
Yeah.
So my dad and I come in, we're sitting there in the studio, and he's doing background vocals on a song called "You Are." Remember that song? You are the sun.
Yeah.
And apparently they'd been working on these vocals, background vocals, for 3 days. And my dad and I looked at each other like, coming from the jingle business, you got to knock this shit out in 10 minutes.
Right.
And he was like, "Yeah, we just can't find the right blend. We're trying to. It's been really hard. We keep coming back to it." And Lionel's out there with like 2 other singers singing, and he's getting frustrated, and the producer's getting frustrated. And finally, I'm sitting with my dad on the couch in the control room, and Lionel looks through the glass, and he points to me, and he goes, "No." And I do one of those like,
You poop yourself at that
no,
point?
I turn around like, you can't be pointing, and I come out, and he goes, "You've been hearing what we're doing, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you know what part I'm singing?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so." And he goes, "All right, I want you to sing my part. And then, Deborah, I want you to switch to this. And David,
oh my God, okay.
And Lionel goes into the control room. And they count it off, and we hit the chorus, and he goes, "That's the sound I need."
No.
So
and
you're
you're on that record.
And I'm all over that record.
Wow.
And then he was like, "Come back tomorrow. I got another song I want you to sing on."
So you started making money right away.
Instantly.
Wow.
But even
he didn't
more,
get paid.
Yeah, right. Even
music
more
business.
important than that, he gave me this incredible gift. I remember he said, "Look, I don't know how much I have for you to do," but he said, "I just want you to know," and I'll never forget the way he said it. He goes, "If I'm in this room," meaning the studio, "you're welcome to be in this room." And I just went every day.
Wow.
And I watched him make that record. I watched them record the percussion overdubs, and I watched them cut basic tracks, and I watched him do his lead vocals, and I watched them do the string date, and I just watched Lionel Richie make
a record,
a multi-platinum album. It was like going to record producer artist school.
So do you guys ever
Masterclass.
get back together? He's got to be super proud thinking about everything that you've done from Chicago. That phone call didn't happen. Who knows what you would have done?
I know.
If you would have stayed in Chicago, went to New York, or even to LA.
I swear to God, I could prove it. Every 6 months, I just text him and I go, "Thanks for my career."
Yeah.
And
Okay,
the
prove
best,
it.
okay, the best,
Prove it.
years and years later, to your point, I was lucky enough to go play with Barbra Streisand at Hyde Park in London, which is about as big a gig as you can get. I mean, wasn't headlining, but I was on the B stage.
The Voice.
And she asked me if I wanted to come over and do the set before her set. And I had a massive crowd, which was amazing. And then I watched Barbara's show. I knew that the next night was Stevie Wonder headlining and Lionel Richie on the B stage.
What?
And I was like, and I was hoping I'd maybe see Lionel, but I wasn't sure where he was staying, and it was like pretty chaotic anyway. So I do this gig, and then we watch Barbara's show, and then we go back to the hotel. And I get there's a text from Lionel, and he goes, "My brother, I'm sitting outside on my balcony listening to you sing Right Here Waiting for 25,000 people, and they're all singing along, and I couldn't be more proud of you."
Oh, man.
And I was like, "Can we have dinner?" He's like, "No." He goes,
No, dude, it's not that cool.
Like, we're crazy. It's crazy. Then we're flying. I'm flying right after the gig, but he goes, "We have to get together in LA." And so we try. We're always trying to get together, and we run into each other here and there. But look, he's that guy that I don't care what happens. My loyalty to him is forever.
Oh, yeah. Is it weird to think, though, that Lionel's walking around there going, "Richard Marx, that kid"? You know,
I mean, he
that
has
kid.
said that, like, but I think last time somebody told me that they had a conversation with him about it, and he said, I think that, but like, Richard's been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
That I
by
don't-
now,
I just think
it's
he's
old hat.
he's another artist that, but I happen to have known for a long time.
Is a weird part of our careers, and as musicians, knowing that you remember the beginnings, you remember making your first record, you remember all the firsts, you remember doing all this stuff and being the new guy to being classic rock or classic pop and going, wait, how did this happen?
Oldies but goodies.
How did this happen?
Light 97.
How does this? It's what happens.
Yeah,
how
do
old
we
are
go?
you now?
52.
Okay, well, I'm 60. I mean, it's just what
close.
happens.
We're close.
Like pretty damn good, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was talking about Richard Marx.
Oh.
Well, we can thank Daisy Fuentes for that.
That actually deserves another one.
Daisy should just get a ding.
Yeah.
Where
every
did you
time
guys
we
go on your
mention
first
his-
date? I know you went from Twitter to...
Yeah, well,
we never got to that.
Well, I invited her, so then I get separated, and then maybe a month or so after that, I had a gig at the Grammy Museum here in town.
Yeah.
That was filmed for PBS, and I just DM'd her, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to be in LA in a couple weeks. I don't know if you're in town, but I'd love you to be my guest at this taping." And she didn't answer me for a couple of days, and I thought, whatever. Unbeknownst to me, she sees the DM, she calls her publicist, and she says, "Hey, Richard Marx invited me to this gig he's doing at the Grammy Museum in a couple of weeks, and I want to go, but I'd like to get tickets. Can you help me get tickets?"
Oh, wow.
Because she said I wanted to be able to go. I got
support
tickets.
you.
I'll see you there. Yeah, and her publicist said, "He's my client."
You had the same
We had the
publicist.
same fucking publicist.
wow. No way.
Okay, that's
and
perfect.
Daisy went, "How do you not tell me?" She goes, "I don't tell anybody who my other clients are."
Yeah.
She goes, "You'll come with me." So I made sure that Daisy was in the front row, and I did this gig, which was sort of like an inside the actor studio thing where I performed, but I also did interview in between. I'm standing backstage, and there's a bunch of people back there, and the doors are open to the dressing room, and she walks in, and I see her walk in across the room. And I've written so many songs about these kind of
that
things
moment.
that were all bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I never believed in like
Right.
love at first sight, any of that stuff. It's all
Right.
poetry, right? And all I can
You're
tell
a
you is,
dream weaver.
dude, she walked in the door, and I just remember feeling this thunderbolt.
Wow.
And all I
just knew.
remember thinking was, everything's different now. My life's different. Well, no matter not knowing
Even
what,
if she talked to me or not.
Right.
Right.
everything's different now. Like just seeing her in person. I had never been so captivated by the sight of someone. And there's actually a picture of us meeting. Because there was a Getty photographer there.
Do you have it up?
Oh, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And I have the picture up.
Dude, he's totally you. Like, who am I talking to?
do like
two
this?
Chris's right here.
And so
I'm like trying to be all sweet.
So a couple weeks later, I came back to LA. I was kind of still back and forth because my youngest son was still just graduating from high school. And I said, hey, I'm back in LA. I'd love to take you to dinner. And we went to dinner at the Sunset Marquis. I was staying there. Mm-hmm. And it was like a 3-hour, like, how have we not known each other all these years? And
No, you hang up first.
well, yeah, it was that way, but I was like immediately, like I said, just gotten out of the pool, kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, that's it. This is the person I've been waiting for my entire life. And she was like, whoa, you just got out of a long fucking marriage.
Yeah.
She's seen red flags. You're seeing green flags. Go.
Totally.
And she's like, okay, hold on a second. I don't want to.
And we saw each other for, a couple months. And I was so full on.
Yeah.
And she broke up with me. She said, you're too full on. You've never been single. I can't invest in this emotionally because...
Go have your fun.
Her quote, she actually said to me, you need to go fuck a bunch of girls. And I went, I don't want to do that.
Wow.
And she goes, you have to know what it's like to just be you and be single.
Could she call my wife?
And
oh my God.
She broke up with me and she was like, I can't do this. And she goes, I feel bad because I really love spending time with you, but I'm not.
Go play.
And she said, I've been single and I've learned how to have a happy life with or without a partner,
Did you go back and listen to all your songs?
Did I?
Well, yeah, like
all the breakup sad songs.
Yeah.
I wallowed in everybody else's sad songs, and I really was.
What's your go-to?
I really was broken up. Like sorry seems to be the hardest word. And, what are the really sad songs? I mean, any of them. But I would not give up. I kept pursuing her relentlessly, and then finally, a few months later, we went to dinner with her family and just like as friends. Mm-hmm. And I just kept at it. And then we sort of started hanging out again as friends. She wouldn't let me near her. And so for months we were just really good friends and we went hiking together and then finally I just wore her ass down. Like I was like, no, you're supposed to be with me. Like this is what it has to happen.
Did you write? I've sold 30 million records. Like I've got 14 number ones. I'm fucking Richard Marx.
She's Daisy fucking Fuentes.
Yeah, she's pretty hot, dude. Like you almost outkicked your coverage.
I figured that you would be calling her, going, "Hey, I'm banging this chick right now.
She's
care. So hot. Does that do anything for you?"
She wouldn't have cared.
Wow. But how long did it take?
Like 6 months.
6 months. Wow. And now look at you.
Yeah. And we will have been married 9 years in December.
Wow. And she like, I don't know why I didn't just say yes in the first place.
I mean, yes and no. She knew that she said I definitely had a big wall up, and I had become a little cynical about men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But she said she was always open to but she said it just felt like you needed to go through, and she's right that even though I was really excited to be out of that relationship, it was really hard. Like I will never not have love from my ex-wife.
Right.
Yeah. And we were together for, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And we had 3 kids. Yeah. And I can joke about like, oh, I just got out of the pool, blah, blah, but I was also really fucked up over it.
Yeah.
And Daisy could see that I was in pain as well as being so excited to get to know her.
She cared enough about you to step away and hopefully, if things are going to work out, they're going to work out, and give that time. And you went back. You were persistent.
Daisy's poise and Daisy's intelligence about matters like that is pretty. She's just remarkable.
That's incredible.
How many songs has she inspired?
Oh, dude. Well, what was cool is you asked me about that, and I was writing an album around that time, and half the album is this really sad sort of breakup, and then the other half is like, oh my God, hi, we're back.
Where do you keep your Grammy?
In the bar, on a shelf in the bar.
Yeah,
it's better than the bathroom.
That's a pretty damn good story.
One of the reasons is every New Year's we do shots out of it.
Oh, you
Oh
do?
gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chris and I had Colby Calais on, and she said she was doing like drinking beer or like shots or
Yeah,
out of her.
that's what it's
That's what
for.
you do.
I always wondered what people do with their Grammys.
That was Daisy's idea, by the way.
Do shots out of the
Yeah.
What kind of what's your tequila?
Well, I was
Yeah, we do
saying that
tequila
because
shots.
I don't have a Grammy. That's
You
where I was
don't?
going with
He's
that.
got 8 Moon Men.
I've got a lot of Moon Men.
Is there anything you can do shots out of?
No, not a Moon Man. Lance uses his as a toilet holder. Sorry, name drop Lance.
Lance
You
Bass.
put the toilet paper on the flagpole and it works perfectly.
I run into Lance every once in a while.
You
We
do?
have some mutual friends.
He came to the show last night.
He did.
Yeah, he was out there. We
Such a
walked
good
out.
guy.
He's a good guy too.
Are you guys all still really tight? I
Yeah.
loved your Hot Ones episode,
yeah.
by the way.
Oh.
It was great.
Miserable. I think
I just
now.
want this sauce.
Oh, yeah,
I
you
can
were-
I
you
can
were
eat
miserable.
everything.
Yeah.
I can eat anything. Like my taste is gone.
You were miserable.
We're at the house and my wife would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna give him this. See if he's." I'm like,
This
yeah,
is
that's,
nothing.
That's all right. I'm like, my taste buds are gone. They're burnt.
Yeah.
I have to eat Nashville hot chicken and it doesn't do anything. Don't even sweat anymore. So you're on tour now.
I'm always on tour.
You're always on tour, but you're on tour now with
Oh yeah, you've got a story
with
for me.
another great
Yeah,
It's about Rick Springfield.
with Rick Springfield.
That is incredible.
Now, Rick Springfield
How did you
and
two
I-
meet?
Oh,
you guys are
God.
great
that,
friends.
that had to be back in the day because you both were.
Yeah, well, I was a huge Rick Springfield fan against my will. So when he
General
became,
Hospital or after?
Yeah, so like I was,
Well,
I
he
guess,
was like a teeny bopper kind of.
I was like 20 when
Yeah.
he really got big with General Hospital and Jesse's Girl, and I did. You can't hear Jesse's Girl and not appreciate how good it is.
Yeah.
But he was such a teen idol, and he was so fucking handsome, and he just annoyed me. You know what I mean?
That's the way all
That's
teen
just
idols
we
are. That's
like
what
I was
it
just
is.
like, oh fuck that guy with
I
his
got better
fucking,
hair.
you know. No, it wasn't even that. It was just sort of like he's such a fucking,
Yeah.
you know, he's just a pop.
I could do that anyways.
like the
Doesn't
way
matter.
I'm sure I got dismissed, you know, a lot. But
Completely.
I
What was that movie that he did and played the rock
hard
star?
to hold.
Yeah, what a
Or
great
as
movie.
He calls it hard to watch.
That was a great movie. Do you remember that movie?
No.
He just plays like says rock star. Like
Yeah,
so
I've
it's
seen it.
basically based on his life, right? A little bit.
No,
No.
but he just plays a rock star.
Okay.
And then like 2 years later, he did a couple albums, and I was just sort of like guy's so lightweight. But then he put out this album called Living in Oz. And I remember hearing the single on the radio was called Affair of the Heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, fuck, that's pretty cool. And I went to Tower Records and I bought the album. And of course, the cover is him just being like, and I'm like, this is so annoying. But I went home and I listened to every song on the album. And he wrote every song by himself and played guitar on the album and co-produced it. And I was like, motherfucker, this
you
guy's,
hate it.
he's
Yeah,
so
it's-
good. He's really good. So I became a full-on Rick Springfield fan, went to see him in concert. 2 years later, 3 years later, I get a record deal. I'm on my first tour. Things blow up for me, and I'm playing the Greek Theater, and he came to my show.
Wow.
And he and his wife came backstage, and we just hit it off.
Yeah.
And we've been friends ever since.
So what did you get-
almost 40 years.
That's incredible.
Jeez.
I mean, think about too.
He was at my first bachelor party.
Wow. Wow. So think about 4 decades. You've had a #1 song.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you're not that old.
I'm old, but I've
Come-
had a #1 song in 4 different decades.
That is
It's
incredible.
Pretty amazing.
So when did you decide to link up with Rick?
Oh, for touring?
Yeah. That's like no brainer.
Yeah, it was. Well, we did a version of it a few years ago where we opened the show together and we each did a set. We co-headlined this,
Right.
run of shows, a dozen shows or something, and it was fun.
Did you do anything together? Did you play?
Yeah, we opened the
that's
show
cool.
with a song and we closed the show with a song.
Oh, that's
and then we
cool.
did a Beatles cover. That was it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as interactive as it should have been, considering how great we get along.
Yeah.
And so then we didn't. He was doing his thing, I was doing my thing, and then late last year he said, we got these offers to come back together, but why don't we do the whole show together? I said, what do you mean? He goes, we'll just be on stage together and we'll just take turns.
Oh,
and it's
that's
acoustic.
cool. Yeah.
I mean, we use tracks here and there and stuff.
Right.
But so we open with Endless Summer Nights, and then we do Love Somebody, and I play and sing on his songs, and he sings and plays on my songs, and we tell stories and we goof around, and it's just blown up. And now we went from like 10 shows to now we'll end up, I think we've got another 25 shows booked.
You guys do in UK? Yeah.
No, I'm doing UK.
No.
But that is
I'm playing the Albert Hall in
That's,
Yeah, that's
that's
so
what
cool.
people want. Like that's exactly what They want to hear those stories. They want to hear those. They want to see you guys together because you can't fake that.
No.
When you're up on stage clowning around, there's people. One thing I do give listeners and fans and stuff credit for is they know when you're fake. They feel the authenticity of what you're doing, and when you're up there with them telling the stories, joking around, there's so much authenticity to it that they love it and they want to hear those stories. They want to hear those songs. Having Rick singing background on some of your songs, you singing background on some of his songs has got to be like mind blowing. It's just
look,
performing with your buddy.
And at the end of the day, even though we've been friends for a long time, I tell the story about my whole life has been a series of manifestations that are just mind-blowing. When it comes to people, like everyone who has made a real sort of impact on me, I'm not talking about being a casual fan of somebody, but anybody who I was like really into, I've either met, worked with, or become friends with, or all the above. Everyone. And so I tell the story on stage about Rick and how much I couldn't stand him, and then I heard Living in Oz, and I said, and I became a full-on Rick Springfield fan, and I said, and now look, we're fucking on stage together every night because we're pals. Yeah. And I said, so don't give up on your manifestation dreams,
Did you manifest this name drop with Chris Kirkpatrick
I
and Brian
manifested it,
McFayden?
but it was Chris and somebody else.
Brian McFayden.
You know what's weird is I did the same thing.
What are you talking about?
I manifested.
You guys are
we both
it was
failed.
me and Kurt Loder.
Oh, yeah, we both failed.
No,
I know.
Do you think it was going to be Brian McFayden, or did you think it was going to be Brian McFadden from Westlife?
I didn't care.
You didn't care?
Either
Oh, you
way.
just wanted to see Chris.
Either.
Man, this is such shit.
So
Huge fan.
So do you play the guitar with roses?
No, but he
You ever
does.
do it? I know he does.
He
That's
smashes
what I-
roses.
Smashes it.
But he doesn't do that. He doesn't do the acoustic show.
There's one
So
person.
if he did, I'd be like, dude, calm the fuck down.
So I saw him at Universal Studios in Orlando, and this was maybe 16, 17 years ago.
at Epcot, at that gig, right?
No, it wasn't Epcot.
Oh, okay.
It was Universal.
Okay.
It was like he had a stage set up outside of Mel's Drive-In, kind of, where I used to perform. That's where I got my start, was singing doo-wop in front of Mel's. So I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I get to see Rick Springfield. I'm a big Rick Springfield fan. He does a show. I'm like, doesn't disappoint. I'm like, amazing. Just what I thought it would be. And this guy that works at Universal is like, hey, Rick really wants to meet you. He knows you're here and he really wants to meet you. And I'm like, he knows me? Like, he knows who I am? I'm like, this is awesome, right? Did Richard tell him? No. But he's like, yeah, come in. He really wants to meet you. And they had this little weird restaurant-looking thing, but it wasn't. It was kind of like a holding area, and it was just a conference room. And this guy shuttles me in. He's like, hurry. No, he's in here. He really wants to meet you. He's so excited, all this stuff. Opens the door, pushes me in the room, closes the door behind me, and Rick is sitting at the conference table with, like, I don't know if it was manager or somebody. I don't know if they were discussing the payment or whatever's going on, but they're definitely into
Engaged.
a discussion,
Yeah.
engaged. And just kind of...
Like, why are you here?
And I was like, hi, Rick, it's me, Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC. And he's like,
hey, man.
and I'm like, you,
Oh my God.
dude, great show, man.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you. And backed out. And I felt like this tall. Like, and no fault of his own. It's like, he probably was just like, I'm in the middle of something. And some guy was just like, hey, it would be cool if I can get Chris and Rick to meet. So let me throw them in there and see what happens. Like, it's going to be organic.
Yeah.
And it just was awkward. And I probably couldn't sleep that night because I was like, Rick Springfield probably thinks I'm the biggest boner on
Did
the
you rip
planet.
up his concert T-shirts after that?
No, I didn't.
Well,
I
I
actually
mean,
made
at
him
the
in
end
a
of the
kiss
day,
faces.
it wasn't really Rick's fault.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't anybody's fault.
I mean, dude, okay, so you just this is almost like moment to moment what happened with me and Carrie Underwood.
Oh, yes.
I'm in Nashville
Yep.
at the Palm,
Uh-huh.
and I'm having dinner with a couple of friends, and this is probably like 10 years ago, and the waiter was great. He was like really charming and fun. When you get a really fun waiter who's like into it.
Yeah.
And we're wrapping up, and I'm paying the bill, and he comes over and he goes, Mr. Marx, he goes, can I ask a favor? And he said, Carrie Underwood is in the private room with a party, and she would really love to say hello to you. And I said, that's very nice. I said, I don't know Carrie.
Yeah.
He goes, no, I know, but she'd really, really love to meet you. Could you come with me? And I'll let you. And I was like, I'm not going to go. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
I was like, sure. So I say goodbye to my friends, and I go into this room, this private room, and it's like 20 people around this huge table.
Uncomfortable.
And people are like looking at me like, oh, hey. And she's sitting there in the back and talking, and the waiter brings me all the way around, and he taps her and says, and she literally goes like this. She looks at me, she goes, and goes right back to talking.
Oh my God.
And I'm just standing there. And I was like,
Oh.
and I come back out, and now the waiter is just outside the room. And I walked out, and I came face to face with him, and I said, if you ever fucking do that to me or anybody else, I said, fuck you, man. Like, don't do that. I said, I know what you wanted now.
Yeah.
Somebody put you up to like, well, maybe we'll get a shot of Richard and Carrie or like whatever. I said, she didn't ask to meet me. I said, fuck you. Why would you do that?
Right.
That happens to me all the time.
I'm so sorry.
That's so it's so awkward. Like it's like how do you act?
And there is a part of
Oh my
me
God, I'm
that
like
with
embarrassed
Rick
for you right now.
and with Carrie, there's a part of me that feels like you could say, like you could go like, hey, how are you? Or stand up and go, hey, nice to meet you.
Right.
Even if you didn't.
To make them feel a little like, hey, I know this seems like it was awkward, but I'm kind of in the middle of something. And I thought the same thing. And even when you're telling your story, I thought, Carrie could have been like, oh my God, Richard Marx, this is cool.
But she was like,
and you're like, oh, but when they're like, because I know I would be different. I would definitely, I know you would be different that, if you ever saw someone like that. But those are those stories that haunt you.
Yeah.
And just stick with you. Because then,
the worst is when you work with somebody and they do it to you.
I do it to you all the time.
I was talking about somebody else. It's not the
point.
first time, man.
That's the point that I always, he'll walk
You
into a room.
get dissed.
I got somebody I worked with at HLN. I won't say her name, Robin Mead. Yeah.
You won't say her name, but her
I was with my
Mead.
pops
Her
and
initials
he wanted
are
a
Robin
picture.
Mead?
Yeah, Robin Mead.
I love Robin Mead.
And Pops.
She's gorgeous.
I sang a duet with her.
But
She does. She does country.
Yeah.
Like she loves country,
I
right?
did.
And she
Yeah.
sings.
She came to a fundraiser that I hosted, and she said, "Can I do a duet with you on this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Wasn't it for the farm thing? Was it?
No.
Was she there?
She came to Chicago. This is years ago.
anyway, it was a great story. So it was,
No, go ahead.
no, I mean, it was
sorry.
good. It was
No,
good.
seriously, we'd love to hear it.
The one thing I wanted to ask you is
No,
Luther
we
Vandross.
completely commandeered
Nah,
your
it's totally
Robin
fine.
Mead
It was a
story.
good story. You guys went right
No,
past
did
it.
she diss
It's
you,
probably
though?
not that great of a story.
Go ahead,
No, it's with
finish
my
because
pops.
I
He's
love that.
78 years old. He's a cute old man. We were down in the studios, and I'm a part of the show. And we waited for her to finish up so we can get a picture. I said, "Hey, can I get a picture with Pops and you?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she did. I'm busy, and she wasn't doing anything. Just kind of looked ahead.
Oh,
It was a great story.
We had a fun moment. I remember when we first got together, actually a couple of them, but when we first got together, we were doing this stay in school jam in Orlando. And it was, who was it? It was a basketball player. And we saw him, and Justin and I are like, oh my God, we have to go say hello. And we walked over and totally made asses of ourselves. Oh my God, this is so amazing. We can't believe we're meeting you. We can't believe we're meeting you. I'm not going to name names.
And were you guys already famous?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we were no. And I won't tell you who it is because we met him later, and he's a really sweet guy. But he's like, oh man, and it was exactly straight out of Spinal Tap. Man, love to sit here and hear you guys talk to me, but I got to go sit in the lobby and wait for my limo. Type of deal.
Yeah.
It was like, that's cool. A little busy right now. And then just walked over and stood against the wall. And Justin and I are just like, same thing happened with I will drop this one because he tells the story. Peyton Manning.
I love the
Same
story.
thing. He came up to us and was like, hey, or we were like, hey. And he's like, all right. Came to me years later. I thought you guys were the ball boys. Didn't know.
But you know what? Has that, be honest, did those experiences instruct how you treated people when they came up to you? Or were you a dick too?
No, I would say out of anybody I've ever met in this industry, and it's been a lot, he's probably one of the best with his fans. And I've been many cities with this guy.
And
but
that's
he'll bring him in.
difficult, especially at the level of mania that you experienced.
Yeah, well, and you as well. I think it's one of those things where I came from and how I grew up was never thought I would end up where I was,
right.
And to be there, you're just so thankful to be there that who made you. You know who's buying the records. You know who's coming to the shows.
Yeah.
You know who does all that stuff. So no matter how tired you get, and on this pop tour, I do meet and greets and stuff all the time, and hear stories and all this. And what I say to them is, just like you, I'm a fan of somebody too.
Yeah.
I have those moments, like when they're like, "Oh, you don't understand what you mean to me." I'm like, "Yeah, I think I do."
Yeah.
I got to work with Richard Marx, and I'm blowing your head up, and I don't mean to, because you don't need it. But it was that, wow, this is cool that I'm here in this moment with you. You're doing a song for us, with us. How it became, and that's gotta feel some way that going through it, and your Lionel Richies and your Luther Vandrosses, and those stories, what they meant to you, that now you did the same thing for us and for other artists. But going back to the Luther Vandross stuff,
that one right there, that just, you won a Grammy. You wrote a song for him, and that
With him,
and very good friends.
But he was one of my best friends.
Oh my God, what an incredible human.
Yeah.
And the way you guys honored him at, I think, was it 2004 or 2005?
2004.
2004 Grammys with Celine Dion. I mean,
yeah,
that's
and
one of
she
the
had
most
just
touching.
lost her father.
Oh my God.
When she got the call, would she sing "Dance with My Father"? Because Luther was he was still
too
with
ill.
us, but he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I went to Vegas to rehearse it with her, and I knew Celine a little bit. Again, what a sweet. You probably met her, right?
Yeah.
She's just the best. She's just such a wonderful person.
Did you call her last minute because you knew that Luther?
I
wasn't
didn't
gonna
call
be
her.
able
The
to...
Grammys did.
Oh wow.
The
Okay.
Grammys came and said, Luther can't perform. We definitely want a performance of the song. We would love you to perform it, but we are told that maybe we have an opportunity to have Celine Dion. I said, Celine,
Yeah.
I'll just play piano.
Right.
And so I went to Vegas to rehearse it with her the day before. And she couldn't get through it without crying because her dad had just passed away 2 weeks before. And then I remember that performance at the Grammys that year. We followed Outkast, and it was this production that had 78 people on stage and dancers and fucking marching bands and shit. And it went off
Flying
without a
over
hitch.
the audience. It was crazy.
Followed by me at the piano, on an acoustic piano, and
With Celine
Celine,
Dion.
and her mic failed. And we had to start over.
No.
Yeah, they couldn't pull that one off.
They could
Wow.
pull off the
Yeah.
insanity.
Exactly.
Probably because they were still stressed and finishing that. They're like, "Oh, don't worry. It's just a mic and a piano. They got this."
You still
But-
keep in touch?
With Celine?
Celine,
No. We were never friends.
Yeah.
But I definitely reached out when I heard that she was ill. But yeah, Luther, you guys would have loved him. He was
Yeah.
he was, I always say my favorite thing to how to describe him is he was as funny and kind as he was talented. And there was nobody more talented.
How'd you say goodbye?
I didn't really get to say goodbye. I went to see him. He was in this rehab center in New Jersey. And I went to see him maybe a couple months after the Grammys and spent the day with him. I actually was with him. He was doing rehab, but he was really in bad shape. He was really, and he was hallucinating a little bit. He told me a story about me as if I wasn't me.
Yeah.
But then he would sort of lock into reality, and his stroke was so severe. But I just thought he's never going to be the same. He might not sing again. But I didn't think he was going to die. He was in a rehab facility. There seemed to be no danger of losing him. It's just he was never going to be the same, And so I was driving, and his business manager and one of his best friends, a guy named Carmen, called me, and he was crying, and he said, Luther died. And I pulled over, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I went to the funeral and stuff, but I think about that guy all the time because nobody made me laugh more than Luther. And also, a few years before we wrote that song, my father died tragically and unexpectedly. And
Dick
we
Marks.
were best friends. Big Dick. That's why I was always Richard, because I thought he would
You're
always
always-
be known
You
as
don't be
Big
Little Dick.
Dick. I don't even be Little Dick. And no one could help me. I was inconsolable for 6 months. And then Luther called me, and we talked for like 4 hours.
Wow.
And Luther helped me.
Wow.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
So, 1986, I've just gotten my record deal. I'm just starting to make my first album. And my hero of heroes is Peter Gabriel.
Oh, man.
And the So album. And I was a huge fan before the So album, but when I heard the So album, it was all over for me. And my ex and I were at lunch at this place, and Peter Gabriel walked into the restaurant with like 5 people. And again, it was almost like when Daisy walked into the room.
Yeah.
And I couldn't breathe.
You got a boner?
But it was like, I didn't get a boner, but I was like, my hero is in the same room as me.
Yeah.
And my ex was like, you have to go say something. I said, no, no, I could never. What the fuck am I going to say to Peter Gabriel, you know? She goes, you have to. You're going to really hate yourself if you don't. You're going to regret it.
What if you went like this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That would have crushed your dreams?
So I'm like, no, I'm not going to, because I don't want to even risk that.
Yeah.
And then she just is on me and on me and on me. Finally, I get up, and I don't want to interrupt, and I kind of stand off to the side, and I wait for there to be a little lull in the conversation, and I kind of step over, and he sees me, and I said, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. And I didn't know what to say, but in the moment, I just said, I just had to thank you for making music. And he went like this. He went, and he stood up, and he took my hand, and he wrapped my hand like this, and he said, what a lovely thing to say, man. What's your name? I said, Richard. And he said, are you a musician? I said, yeah, I'm actually making my first album. And he goes, oh, congratulations. He goes, man, what a lovely thing. He goes, that you made my day, man. And he was so kind and just courteous, you know?
You knew it was from the heart.
And he said, I wish you the best. And I never saw him again.
Afterwards,
I still have never run into him. But he was so kind to me. And when, a year and a half later, I'm out on tour, and like people are coming up to me in restaurants and stuff, and I would just be like, be Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
Now, 10 years later, I'm doing this TV show because we have to do the yang of the yin, right?
Right.
I'm doing this TV show, this late night show with my band, and you probably did this too, where you go and you pre-tape your performance, but they slot it later so that it feels like it's part of the show. And the other guest on the show was Kira Sedgwick, the actress.
Nice.
Who I think's great.
Mrs. Bacon.
But I thought, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought, I wonder if Kevin Bacon will be here, because I'm a huge Kevin Bacon fan.
Yeah, and he's a musician.
And he's ish. And I don't see him, and we do our performance, and I'm packing up. We're packing up to leave. And as I come out in the hallway, there's Kevin Bacon talking to the producer. And as I walk out, he sees me. Now, I've just done the show with his wife, right? And I go, oh, man. I said, Kevin, Richard Marx. I said, I sang on the show. And I said, I'm such a fan, man. It's so great to meet you. And he went like this. And he went right back.
No, it was going to be something.
He went,
No.
Wow.
No.
Now, I played a gig that night in L.A., and I told that fucking story.
Gotcha.
And the audience was like, fuck Kevin Bacon! Fucking asshole! Cut to, this is actually fun for me, the name dropping thing. Cut to last November, Kenny Loggins did he retired from touring.
Yep.
He did his last show at the Santa Barbara Bowl.
Who was absolutely amazing.
I love it.
Amazing. And I sat in with him because he and I are really great, really good friends. We've written a bunch of songs. And then talk about another manifestation. That guy he taught me more about singing when I was in high school than just listening to his records, And he is a dear friend. We've written songs I'm so proud of. So I performed with him on the show. But Kevin Bacon came out for Footloose. And I'm backstage, and I'm seeing Kevin Bacon walking around, and I'm like, I'm not going over this motherfucker. And the whole night goes on. And then we all come out for this encore. And as we're waiting for Kenny to bring us out, Kevin Bacon taps me. He goes, hey, I'm Kevin. Just wanted to say hi. And I was like, That's great. That is great. Holy shit.
You know the irony about that story and the fact that you just name dropped Kevin Bacon, and this is like the end of our second season of this show.
Yeah.
And that's the first Kevin Bacon
weird.
name drop, and you hear the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
And I think that's that was the first Kevin Bacon
0 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Name drop.
And
I
you know
love
what?
the
In
fact that you
fairness,
got to get him back.
I kind of did. I mean, I wasn't as dismissive as he was.
You
but I was
probably
sort of like-
afterwards were totally nice because I know you, and you
No,
couldn't
I
be like.
I didn't talk to him.
That
But-
was it.
But I didn't say
that's so
but I
good.
went. I
That's
just
one of
went
the
like
best
this.
stories.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. And I just kept walking.
So, if you had to record with one superstar or a group or a band,
Bruno
Like
Mars.
that's out
Bruno
now.
Mars.
Bruno Mars.
Like Bruno Mars.
I think Bruno Mars is the most talented human being on the planet right now.
I think he's. I would agree with that.
And I just
definitely one of 'em.
ran into him at a restaurant.
First time meeting?
Never met him before, and I was leaving this restaurant.
Did he say hi to you, or did you say
he
hi to him?
asked? He saw me in the restaurant, and he said to the owner, "I'd love to say hi to Richard." And I was like, "So he didn't." The owner didn't say. So Daisy and I were leaving. We were walking out this restaurant, and the owner said, "Richard, I'm so sorry, but there's somebody that wants to say hi to you. Can you come back with me?"
Here we go. No, here we go again.
Well, no, I was like, "Yeah, sure."
I know how
He's
this
like, oh,
ends.
right, right,
I know
right.
how
Fuck
this
this
ends
guy.
tragically.
So I go back to near where we were sitting, and I come up and there's this booth, these two black guys, and Bruno Mars gets up from and as I'm walking over, I'm like, that's motherfucking Bruno Mars, and I'm a massive fan, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
And we hug, and I said, dude, I'm so happy to meet you. I said, you have no, and he goes, no. He goes, first of all, I'm a lifelong fan, but he said, I wanted to say hi because it's gotten back to me that you say nice things about me. And I just want you
that's
to know
cool.
that really is so cool. He goes, I've had people say, yeah, Richard Marx was raving about you. And so we hung out for a little bit. And I texted Daisy. I said, get your ass over here.
Oh my God.
And Daisy she goes, I'm walking up. I'm like, what is going on? And she goes, and I see Richard hugging Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah.
He was so sweet.
So Bruno, is there anyone else that you look? Because there's a lot of female vocalists now.
Yeah.
That I think are absolutely amazing.
Well, I'm a
and
huge Halsey fan.
Halsey,
she's great.
Dua
I'm a
Lipa.
huge Tovlo fan.
Okay.
I love Tovlo. And I love Dua Lipa, yeah.
Kesha.
Yeah, I like some of Kesha's records, yeah.
That's good.
We haven't dropped any of those.
Yeah.
I think we said like 3 or 4.
I know,
1,
that's
2,
why I
3.
just-
Okay.
Who
yeah,
would
I
your
got that.
dream...
Collab or
Yeah.
Man, it's kind of like you. We got to work with some of the greatest artists. I've got to meet Paul McCartney, but he was, when I was learning to play guitar, I think I told you the story when we were writing, but when I first learned to play guitar, I played left-handed and couldn't play because I couldn't figure it out. I was always, my chords were always backwards because I had to do them, upside down. And then I realized I'm not left-handed and played right-handed because I just watched Paul.
And wow, look, G chord.
Yeah, this makes so much more sense here.
This sounds so much better now.
Yeah, but there's getting to work with you, we did some stuff with Stevie Wonder.
Oh, yeah.
We did some stuff with Phil Collins. A lot of people that
on the Tarzan soundtrack.
Yeah, on the
right?
Tarzan soundtrack. That was one of my moments.
Fuck.
Where they'd already done the whole soundtrack, and they had the song "Trash in the Camp" that they do in the movie, and they're like, "Listen, we want to redo the Trash in the Camp, but we want to vamp it up a little bit, and they want to get you guys on the record." And we came here to LA, and we were in the studio, and we walk in, and there's Phil Collins, and I'm in the studio. It's like, I don't want to keep blowing smoke up your ass, but it's like you. It's like my growing up years of people that I looked up to are real life, and you're just like, oh, that's so strange. But Phil Collins is sitting there, and No Jacket Required was the first cassette I'd ever owned.
Wow.
And we're all in there doing our thing, and he's like, well, who does the harmonies? And they're like, oh, that's Chris. JC Chasez, the leads, Chris does the thirds and the high stuff. So he's like, okay, Chris, can you do the harmony to scat? And I was like, yeah, sure. So he goes, okay, come in the booth with me. And I'm like right now together, normally we all lay it down by ourselves and then, make it work. But he brought me in the vocal booth, and it was hard because at first there was nothing. It was just scatting. So I'm trying to harmonize with him scatting, and I'm scatting different than what he's scatting. So finally he came up with this line that we started harmonizing, and I was doing the harmonies with him, and I'm just looking across the same microphone at Phil Collins singing into the same microphone, and it's like
Surreal moment.
surreal.
Wow.
Completely surreal.
You guys didn't ask me. who I
would
want
you-
to
who?
collab with.
Who do you want to collab with?
You guys
Both of us at the same time.
at the same time, like right now.
You
You guys
want to
ready for
do a
this?
song?
Yeah, the song.
You want to do
Just
our?
follow
our-
my
Can you
follow my
sing?
lead. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
my
this is
God.
this is our
Like-
this is our what we do at the end of.
Okay.
He usually has a pitch pipe, and just to show you
It's amazing.
how Brian sings.
I make small children cry.
Just show you how Brian sings. This is my bell. His bell. Okay. So this is
a metaphor.
Not funny.
It's a metaphor.
This has been a dream of mine since I was a kid roller skating to right here waiting for you when I had my shitty mullet. Thanks.
How old are you?
I'm in my late 40s.
No, you're not. You're in your early 50s.
Busted.
No.
78.
October 1st, 1976.
But so all we do is we just do like name drop at the end, and we can do harmonies. He can't. He'll sometimes he'll do the root, and I'll do a harmony with him, and he goes, "Wow, I just harmonized." I'm like, "No, you didn't. I did." You sang the song.
So can I sing name drop?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a major seventh
Yeah,
chord.
yeah.
Yep.
Wait.
Name
How about you?
drop.
Name drop.
Yeah.
Name drop.
Yeah.
Name drop.
Name drop.
Name drop.
Name drop.
Rich,
half
why
of
are you
it's-
laughing, man?
Half
I'm
of
not
it's
laughing.
me.
Take this seriously.
Half
Brian,
of it's
come on.
look at me.
I'm looking at
not
you.
laughing at you.
You're laughing with me.
I'm laughing at you.
Hey, listen. To quote the great Rick Springfield.
Rick Freeman, yeah.
What?
That's it. That's it.
All right, guys, let's take this seriously.
All right. Name,
Name
drop.
drop.
Ready?
Name.
One,
Two.
two.
I'm going to do the
three.
high.
Name
drop. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
God.
It's a dissonant
Why
chord
would you
now.
say,
all of
oh
a sudden.
God? Like, oh God, good, or oh God, don't do that
I don't
anymore?
think that was, oh
this
God,
would have been
good.
It would have been really good.
I don't think that was a good.
When I
then
came in, so
you can-
basically,
Yeah.
why did I get?
I
From
think you
first
always
season to
do.
second season, I sucked.
Yeah. You've had 2 seasons to go over. Even I think Kobe Calais walked out.
Look,
It was-
not everybody's a singer, man. You got
Yeah.
so many other talents.
You have a face.
You're a handsome
You
man.
Handsome.
used to have a face.
Used to have a face.
You've got pictures of what you used to look like.
I do.
So
You
you've
should
got
see
that
them.
going for you.
You want to see me with frosted tips? Hey guys, ready?
No. No. I think
This last time.
name
Are we really? You're
drop.
really going to do
I
this
think we
again?
got
Yeah, because
it.
it's got to be at the end. Come on, man. You're Richard Marx.
I think we got it. Name
5-time
drop.
Grammy
All right, last
nominated,
Okay,
wins
one.
one.
Last
Two,
time, but you're
three.
making name drop. Yeah, that's about it.
As Randy
You're-
Jackson would say,
You're
you're a little pitchy dog.
That's a note.
what did
That's a
Randy
note for me,
Jackson,
dog.
what did I always hear? You're flat, you're slow, and you can't get to the page. But at least your timing was off.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are. Honestly, my ego has gotten bigger after this.
I can tell.
Dude, thank you, man.
Oh, it's
thank
a
you for
pleasure.
coming
we
in.
appreciate
it's,
you.
it's so nice to meet you.
You too.
Yeah.
You were awesome.
It's like an honor to have
I
you
love
in.
you to
Oh,
death.
thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Name drop.